Hello, today we'll talk about self-confidence and we will discuss why do Christians also need to build self-confidence. Even though I say Christians, this video is not only for people who relate somehow to Christian faith. But I wanted to mention Christians specifically because I don't know about you, but I as a Christian grew up with the understanding that every word or phrase which starts with self relates to selfishness. I know it sounds a bit funny, but in my understanding, words like self-confidence, self-esteem, self-assurance, they sounded like the opposite of being humble before God and trusting God. I shouldn't believe in myself because I believe in God. Today I understand that self-confidence doesn't mean being not humble. That's why I wanted to mention specifically that Christians also, as well as all other people, need to build their self-confidence and self-esteem. That's super duper important. Important. Self-confidence and self-esteem doesn't mean that you are not humble before God. Self-confidence and self-esteem basically mean that you have a positive image of yourself and you believe in your abilities to achieve different things in life. So the question is, does God want you to have a positive image of yourself? Does God want you to believe in your abilities? Of course He does, because when you read the Bible, you can actually notice how many times God says that He cares about you, He loves you, that you are important for Him. Why does He repeat that so many times? Because He wants you to understand and remember how valuable you are. Of course, God wants us to have a positive image of ourselves. It is impossible for us to not have any image of ourselves at all. We'll definitely be thinking something about ourselves, right? So if we do have some image of ourselves, God wants us to have a positive image, not a negative image. Because what you think about yourself will determine your actions and your thoughts. If you think negatively about yourself, it will be reflected in your actions and thoughts. If you think positively about yourself, it will be reflected in what you do, in what you achieve, in what you pursue in life. So the first reason why Christians should also build self-confidence is because God wants us to have positive image of ourselves. He created us with different talents and ambitions. Of course, He wants us to have some achievements. The second reason why all people, including Christians, should build their self-confidence is because confidence is not static. It's always changing. First of all, confidence is like a food or physical exercises. You cannot eat enough healthy food for 1 year in advance. It's just not possible. If that was possible, it would actually be good. But it's not. It's not possible to do physical exercises for 1 year in advance, right? You need to do it regularly if you want to stay healthy. Confidence works exactly the same way. You cannot just build it once and then keep it for the rest of your life. Imagine standing on a slippery hill. If you do not put enough efforts, you will be just sliding down. Confidence is very similar, but the problem is that we humans don't normally think about it. We don't try to influence the level of our confidence. We definitely should be. As we live our life, we all will face situations which will impact the level of our confidence. Like, people say different things about us, we may fail at something, or we may get into a situation when we embarrass ourselves. All those situations push back our self-confidence and self-esteem. If we don't pay attention to that, if we just allow it to happen and don't try to restore the level of our confidence, it will be decreasing. And eventually we may find ourselves in a situation when we ask, how did this happen to me that I'm so insecure? What happened to my self-esteem? Why is it so low? It may simply be because we never worked actively on building and restoring our self-confidence and self-esteem, which is super important for all people, Christians including. I'm 100% sure that God wants us to understand and know how valuable we are. God wants to encourage us. God wants us to encourage ourselves and encourage others. So if you never thought about the level of your self-confidence, it's time to start. You will not regret it. Thanks for watching. I hope it was useful. See you soon in the next video. God bless.